So to start off, my name is Riley Boyce, and I am currently on 1872 Uplift, and right now I lead the documentation part of our team.
Sure. So my name is Edgar Madruga. I'm currently a senior at UCF studying mechanical engineering and computer science. I did first for 2 years on 4227 metamorphosis, and I did a lot of hardware outreach, a bit of team organization, and right now I'm participating as a mentor coach for Uplift and still going to school and working at Coal Engineering Services as an engineering specialist.
How have you used your hardware knowledge that you've gained throughout your whole entire first career into what you do now as a job and even college?
Can I grab something from my car? Specifically from first, I don't know the hardware specifically. It was more just like the learning experience of having a set problem and trying to find a solution to fit that problem and do nothing more than just solve your one issue. And that requires, the set problem comes in, you have to find a way to resolve the problem, implement a feature, patch a bug, whatever. That's specific enough that gets it done, but general enough that you don't cause any errors.
So what made you want to be a first alumni?
Graduation. Is that the short answer? What does that mean? What made me want to be a first alum? I don't know. I did first in high school. I liked it, and then I graduated. I really don't know what the question means.
So you just never wanted to leave?
Okay, so you're rephrasing it to
why didn't? Because I know some kids that are they leave college or they leave high school and are going to college and they're like, all right, I'm done, no more.
Okay, so what made me want to come back to first?
Yeah. What made you want to sign up as a first alumni and stay involved in the way you have?
I think it was honestly because at the time I felt that I didn't think that I had experienced enough of first. I still wanted to do my 4 years because I didn't do that in high school. I started my junior year. So I came back to kind of get the 4-year experience to see, where I am after 4 years of first instead of just 2. Mm-hmm. And also just to, obviously still be there with my friends who were still going through their 4 years of first. And so I wanted to help.
So did you think that the experience of volunteering and being there with that team rather than competing on your own, did you think that was a more valuable learning experience than being there?
I think it was a valuable experience going to Worlds and not competing, because it gives you the opportunity to have a stress-free mindset and really open yourself up to what other people are doing. Whereas when I went with Metamorphosis as a mentor, I could really see, especially the more robot and kids and drive team hardware, they were kind of not really taking time to explore other pit areas and check out other robots because they were so focused on getting their robot working. And the same with Mechromancers when they went. So, and that's fine because you've got a competition to play. I get how it is. But I think still going to the championship and volunteering gives you an insight, even if it's not the same as competing. It lets you walk around. It lets you see all the robots, because a lot of these kids will let you ask all the questions you want about the robot. They'll just tell you everything they want to know and everything that you want to know, unless they have some NDA secret, which usually only works with manufacturers, and I don't think many of these designs are patented. So if you just ask them about, how's their drivetrain modular enough to drop an entire wheel and then you can put another one in, they'll just talk about that. And so I think just volunteering at the championship is a beneficial experience just because you get to go and see other teams. And even if you're not interested in hardware, like you can see how they brand themselves. You can see how they organize themselves even as a team at a competition. Like,
Okay. So what was the coolest experience you've ever had in your whole entire time as a first student?
okay, what? Say the first bit again.
What was the coolest experience you've ever had?
Okay, experience. Does it have to be coolest experience? It's like, can it just be like a best experience?
Whatever you want.
Okay. Because it's not like cool, but it's just like, and if I talk about it, it's just like heartwarming to other people. I don't know, but definitely watching Super 7 win Inspire my senior year. I thought that was a nice experience for me because one of my best friends was on the team, and so like when I found out who was in the running for Inspire, even though like I knew it wasn't my team, I was like, oh shoot, my friend's team is in the running. And I knew how hard they worked every single year, and so like watching them win it was like just satisfying, because it's like I know these kids deserve it. I'm not saying the other teams did not deserve it. It's just I know them personally, and I know how much work they put into the robot. I know how many nights they've spent at the coach's garage, you know, like literally banging wrenches on this robot to get it to work. And so that's probably one of my best experiences with first, was just watching someone else win.
Question. If you could go back in time, what is something you would tell your first year in robotics self?
First year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna assume that question means me as a freshman.
Or whenever you started out, however you want to interpret it. So if you want to say freshman
I'm
year,
interpreting that as a freshman.
Year. Okay.
And that would be don't quit, because I did join the robotics program at Hagerty for a little bit. Then I left after like a couple weeks because nothing was happening. And I think that was just due to the fact that like I didn't know how game reveal worked or anything. I just kind of showed up and I'm like, we haven't done anything in 3 weeks. We're robot. So I was just like, this is lame. And I left. And then one of my friends, so then the next year I did the robotics class, which is like a Lego programming really type deal. And one of my friends in the class, she was in the club. And towards the end of the year, she was like talking a lot about it. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll rejoin next year. And I did. And I was like, this is kind of fun. And yeah. So that was it. I would tell me when I started to just wait like a month. Give it one more month. It'll be fine.
For wider audience, you mean start earlier?
Yeah, start early.
The majority of people did not quit after 3 weeks and then go back. But
it was very boring first 3 weeks. I was just so like, we were just talking. We're not even talking about robots. Like I remember the first.
Well, they start very early there, and then
I remember the first
challenge
weeks
comes out like 4 weeks later.
I remember the first weeks. In later years, they got more interesting because they'd start talking about hardware and software and like more about like what you're. It's like here's what we've done in past years. Here's what you're going to do come this date. So they kind of like learned how to retain an audience. Mind you, when that was back in like 20, what was that? Cascade Effects would have been my freshman year. I don't think a Hagerty team ever made it past states until that year. So, I mean, they're very early in their program.
I think you're right
then.
with that.
I think it got like occasionally one team or two teams to state. I don't remember exactly, but then definitely starting that year, they picked up, and like they kind of, I don't want to say they got it together, but like they learned how to play first's game, and then that's what kind of started building up the momentum that they gained. Teach each other.
Yeah, and that's what I tell people is the 4-year evolution of first is pretty much on that. So if you start out if you're doing 4 years of high school FTC, because most kids don't start until high school, first year is figuring out what FTC is. The second year is figuring out what you're doing. The third year is actually learning what you're doing. And then the fourth year is really doing what you wanted to do at your fullest potential. So that's why I think almost every person I know that started out late wish they had done it earlier, because you really want as much time as you can to perfect your craft to the point that you can start doing really well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Edgar.